The Double 11 event is finally here with many sneak peek of the upcoming events. There are so many exciting skins that have been teased in this update and we will reveal everything in this video. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video I will talk about the upcoming update 1.7.26 and will discuss all the upcoming changes in this update. Let me start with the buff on Olus. He has been away from the meta for a long time now, so developers are now experimenting with his abilities. His passive is now adjusted, and it will now have a base damage of 60 in the early game and 200 in the late game. It will also get 100% damage of the physical item attributes. The stacking of the passive is also changed, and he will now gain 1 stack per second after Olus deal damage to any target. His skill 1 is now revamped, and it will take effect as soon as you tap the skill. It will also remove all the slow effects when cast. The movement speed is also increased by 15% in the late game, and the skill will now have 2-second lower cooldown in the early game. Its second skill will now get 60% more attack speed when cast. The base HP regen from this skill is capped at 50 points in the early game and 200 points in the late game. Plus you will get an additional 30% regen from the physical attack attributes. Each basic attack will also refresh the duration of any remaining stacks. His ultimate is buffed, and when cast, it will slow the target by 90% for 0.5 seconds. The next buffed hero will be our Milkman Minotaur. He's also getting some experimental adjustments. His passive is now getting an amazing change. The rage now no longer get reduced over time. Plus his normal and enhanced skill 1 will now have airborne effect on the enemies. But to balance all these changes, the ultimate charge will gain only 3 times. And the enhanced ultimate first 2 phases no longer knock up the target, but it will slow them by 70%. Next will be Audit's new experimental changes. Consider this one above. Let me tell you the reason. To make Audit position herself better, the developers have added a new effect to the ultimate. Instead of a dash while casting the ultimate, she will now be able to dash and position her ultimate. This will be a great feature, and I think Audit will be more versatile with spells other than Flicker. Next, we have adjustments on Eve. Her ultimate area is reduced and damage is being increased. Her skill 1 base damage is increased by 30 points in the early level and by 80 points at max level. Also, the magic power gained from the items is increased by 10%, meaning more damage in the first skill. Her ultimate area is nerfed. It will now have 5x5 boxes in its field. Earlier it was 7x7. The cooldown is reduced by 10 seconds at all levels. But the base damage is reduced by 20 in the early levels and increased by 50 points in the maximum level. They also increased the magic power gained by this skill from item attributes by 10%. Jask got a small buff. His skill 3 will now spread 6 nightmare clones across 2 rows. If there's any Jaskman, do comment down how you feel about these changes. The next buffed hero will be Hylos. His second skill is buffed. Now the maximum stakes are lowered from 10 to 6. The movement speed lowered by each stake is increased by 1% in the early level and increased by 4% in the maximum level. The attack speed reduction per stake is also increased by 5% in the early level, and it will be able to reduce up to 20% attack speed at the maximum level of his second skill. The damage scaling of the second skill is also increased by 1% in the early level, and it is increased up to 26% at the maximum level. Leo mode is getting buffed. The developers seem not to be satisfied with his mechanics, so he is getting a few tweaks now. His passive crit condition now gets triggered when the enemy HP is below 50%. The second skill cooldown is now fixed at 10 seconds at all levels, and while he is riding his horse, the cooldown is kept at 6 seconds. His ultimate defense stats are reduced by 10 points in the early level and increased by 30 points at the maximum level. Martis is getting buffed. His passive has a new effect now. He gains additional physical attack, which scales from 32 to 200 points by hero levels. And he can now pass through thin walls using his second skill's first dash. Harith is getting buffed. His second skill shield and basic attack magic power bonus are increased by 40%. Hayabusa is getting buffed. His early and the late game mechanics is being improved. His second skill duration is increased by 1 second. And his ultimate base damage is fixed at 140 points now at all levels, and extra damage is increased by 20 points at the maximum level. Terizla is getting buffed now. His second skill cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds in the early game and 2.5 seconds in the late game, and the physical attack bonus for the first 2 hits is increased by 35%. Harley is getting buffed now. His second skill cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds at the early level and 1 second at the maximum level. But the movement speed buff is removed now. Joy is getting buffed now. Her second skill is reduced by 2 seconds at all levels. Fredrin is getting buffed. His passive damage to crystal energy conversion ratio is increased by 15%, while his ultimate's crystal energy bonus damage is reduced by 5%. Johnson is getting buffed. His second skill damage to creeps is increased by 10%. Moving on to battlefield adjustments. They have fixed an issue where Diggy's ultimate could be cast even when suppressed. They have fixed an issue where Argus' second skill could deal continuous damage to the turtle or the lord. Moving on, we have system adjustments. They have improved the mythic rank points algorithm. Now it grants more points for victories. Lastly, have a look at the upcoming events. Gusion 11 will be here in the month of November, and its full video is already uploaded. Check it out from the link in the description. The Aspirants next batch will have Ruby's and Angela's skin. Saint Seiya will be available from the 24th of October. Annual Starlight will feature Leslie this time. Beatrix will get the official M4 and its prime skin. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.